us a little bit more about what you do, so and your history. I mean, you've worked a long time with orchestras in various capacities. So actually, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, yeah. Currently, I'm responsible for four ensembles actually in Berlin, which is the Deutsche Symphonieorchester with Robin Ticciati, the Rundfunk Orchester Berlin with Vladimir Jurowski, the Rundfunk Orchester Berlin with Gijs Lennars, and the Rias Kammerchor with Justin Doyle. They're part of an entire company called ROC, the Radio Orchestras and Choirs of Berlin. And I'm general manager of that company. My very first orchestra was the legendary Bergische Symphoniker, the orchestra of the city of Solingen and Remscheid.
And why was that legendary?
Now, because this is, in the very, very positive sense of the word, this is province, and they do a great job out there, and for a very long time, and because these very two, let's say, unknown orchestras, which were merged into one Bergische Symphoniker company, they actually introduced the first education program of a German orchestra just right after the Second World War. Okay. It was not the Berlin Phil or one of those major orchestras. It was the two orchestras of Remscheid and Solingen who introduced this education program, going out into the schools and teaching kids and inviting them for rehearsals and performances. And they did it so well.
So did they become a model for other orchestras in Germany?
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely, yeah.
Would you say that many of the programs today are still kind of based on that, that model?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's actually it's quite simple, of course. To reach out into the schools, get the kids and the teachers out there, and invite them into the concert hall or into the theater and get good contacts again. I clearly remember one day at one of those school kids programs, there was a mother of one kid saying to me, I don't have the time to go to the concert or to the theater, but of course I'm bringing my kid here to the family concert because when I was young, I did the same with my parents, and it was so important to me in my life that I want my kids to have the same experience. And this is what we call the return on investment. It's not in money terms, but
time,
time and education and knowledge and simply kind of. They love music, or they stick to that,
In thinking about the orchestra scene in Germany, and perhaps German-speaking countries, do you feel that, specifically for these regions, that there are certain challenges? Yes or no?
Well, there are plenty of challenges, because society is changing. Society is changing into a more individualized, life scheme. Milieus are changing, so it's not that easy to to reach out to new audiences or even to the audiences you already know, because they have different attitudes or different leisure time spending procedures. So it's not easy to reach these people, and of course not easy to reach a new generation of people.
How would you say that in Germany that the orchestra audience is changing? How do you see that happening?
We can simply if you go to one of the, let's say, symphony orchestras, symphony concerts which have kind of contemporary music or something new inside, and you simply look at the audience. There's so many young people, and the point is actually to get them with this. Usually in former times you just made your program sheet, and you knew who was interested, and these people could figure out where you are, where you play, what kind of music you perform. In these times, there is a huge bunch of people out there, but you simply have to reach them. It could be more easy now with the social media and stuff, but of course you have to know how and why and who they are, and how to reach them. But this is one of the biggest challenge we have. It's a big chance for us, but it's a big challenge.
Would you say though that there are many differences, but are there things that all the orchestras have in common, or most orchestras have in common? What would those be?
It's all about a repertoire. It's all about the outreach into society, the justification.
Struggle with that, or that's something they're all dealing with?
They are all dealing with that. Some have, of course, problems with that. Some are more under pressure to justify their mere existence, by reaching out into society and explaining what they do and what is this good for. Whereas some other orchestras simply have to be there and perform wonderful music to an audience which is expecting a lot from them. So things are different, but more or less in any country, in any different cultural background, the orchestras they have to, you know, explain themselves to the people, especially to the people where the money comes from. It is very interesting to see, for example, how symphony orchestras in China are developing at the moment. And let's say in South America, when they have major problems, for example. Or is there something new coming up, especially in Europe, where, you know, the symphony orchestra was invented, so to say? We are competing in Berlin, for example, we are competing internationally for very fine, very gifted, very high qualified musicians to work in our orchestras. And as I could see at the International Orchestra Network meeting, in other countries there's already a development that young musicians they do not only want to play as orchestra musicians and go home and care for family or whatever they do. They have different expectations. They want to do some different kind of music. They want to do some education, or they want to do, so, you know, a chamber music series, or they want to play jazz music, or whatever they like to do. They bring along different qualifications. It's also a change to like 40, 60 years ago. They bring with them different qualifications, and they are highly motivated to do different things. And this is a development that we can see in Western Europe, especially in some parts of the rest of the world. And we can expect that for the next 5, 10 years here in Germany as well. So we have to make some good offers to this highly qualified young generation of musicians. And it's not so much about new formats, new places, improvisation or things like this. All these very, very new things, I would call them, they always find their premieres, so to say, in other areas, like in the very freelance world, also in Berlin, of course, until they find their way into the established world. But I think these things are shifting. The public, the audience for symphony orchestras is changing a lot. And if you really want, you know, to build a new audience, you have to watch out for these very, very young but very, very interested people.